All right, we should pick a title. So one of my secret joys is I get to write down things that you said, Emory, that would be a good title. So I'll read back my list to you, and you just let me know which one's your favorite.
Okay.
Dud, you are puny. They've all turned out good. The feelings came screaming out of me. To get rid of that vortex of despair. My safe space. Or I'm not the person someone told me I was.
Oh, those are good.
And you said all of them.
I kissed a girl and I liked
it. We can't use a person's song title. That one's copyrighted.
Okay.
What was the last one? I'm not the person people thought I was.
I'm not the person someone told me I was.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I like them all. They're all good.
They are good.
You should be a writer.
But
funny thing that
this one sounds like a positive message from your book, so that's why I like this one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. Let me quickly record that for Baz. Welcome to season 6, episode 51. I'm not that person someone told me I was. This is Written on the Edge. I'm Bastian here with my co-host, S.A. Baz Collins.
Hello.
And we're really glad you're here with us. Our guest today is Emory Easton. Emory is a writer and mother based in Illinois, where she lives with her partner of 35 years. Her debut memoir, Mother, Can You Hear Me Now?, tackles the abuse she endured as a child and the love she rediscovered as an adult. Emory, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. So, deep topic, but it sounds like it has a happy ending.
Yes, it does.
Where did the fire come to write the story?
Well, I started journaling when I was very young. My first journal was supposed to say, Dad, you are funny, but instead it said, Dud, you are puny. So
okay.
I hung it on the refrigerator and was delighted with it. But I started writing in earnest about 14, which I think is probably pretty usual for girls because we tend to feel all emotional in puberty and, everything the world hates us,
Whereas most boys discovered their puberty in like their 40s.
Yeah, that's probably true. Everything was so intense then, and I was still being abused, and I still had issues with my mother because my mother was the one that allowed me to be abused and abused me. So I started writing then just to kind of get my feelings out because I was kind of suicidal. And I just needed to get my feelings out about what was going on in my life. And one of the challenges was I was in high school and I got pregnant at 6. I had my baby at 16. So obviously I still had to finish high school. And I did, and I graduated my junior year. So it was very easy to do after I graduated. Before I graduated, it was like go to school, come home, feed my baby, rock my baby, put my baby to bed, things like that. But I still wrote when I only had one child. But I had 4 children by the time I was 21. I got married when I was 16. Initially, he was nice, but he ended up not being such a nice person. So that was a challenge for me writing. I couldn't write. I didn't have any way of getting the feelings out. So for a while, I didn't write. And then I did write again after my kids were a little older. Because when you have 4 babies running around, you have no chance to do anything.
Right.
So it was a struggle, but ultimately it ended up okay with the baby. He's a very fine young man now and went to the Naval Academy. And I was going to take him to my 25th year anniversary, but he didn't want to go.
Oh.
I thought, hey, he was there with me in high school. He should go to
Yep, it's his reunion too.
So too. But one of the things that I triumphed at was I was always very persistent and I was always a go-getter. So I wanted to go to college. And back then I took the ACT instead of the SAT. So I took the ACT, and I was pregnant with morning sickness at the time. So basically, I think I got a 12 and spelled my name right, but I don't think I did anything else right.
Oh.
So I graduated as a junior, got married, had kids, and my trauma was still going on verbally from my mother, although I wasn't around for her to abuse me emotionally. She still abused me emotionally, but as far as the other abuse went, psychological abuse, that still happened. Physical abuse stopped at that time. But my husband was kind of a little abusive. I say a little because I wasn't his main target, but my children were. And so I knew I had to get out right away. And so that was a really hard message to take. And I had barely a high school education, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So eventually, I got to the point that I divorced him, but that was only after meeting a best friend who encouraged me to do that. And she encouraged me to get out of the marriage. Don't let my kids be abused. Don't let me be abused. And she helped me find my way. And then I babysat and worked at a factory and all, worked at a pizza place, before they had DoorDash. So I'd make the pizza, deliver the pizza, and, everybody be happy as long as I got a tip.
Right.
I was
what have you got for me?
I got a tip one time that was $10, and I thought, wow, if I could just make $5 an hour, I'd be able to make it on my own. $5 an hour. We lived pretty poor at that time. So the lady that helped me out, we ended up falling in love. Aww. And I was so scared because I was a Christian person, and I thought that God would condemn me and my church would condemn me and everything else. So we lived closeted for many, many years. And at that time, they can take your kids away in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And so we had to be closeted. We couldn't be out. So recently, when I was talking about this book, I talked to the newspaper, and we came out in the newspaper. And surprisingly, yeah, exactly. Surprisingly, no one has said anything. No one's painted lesbian in our yard or written it on a garage or anything like that. So I kind of expected that kind of stuff, but I guess it's cool to be gay now. So I spent a lot of time with her, and the problem was we were both married to men. So we both had to get divorced, and she didn't like children. So I had 4 of them. And because she didn't like children, she wanted her own space in my house. She had a living room and a bedroom and stuff like that. My kids all had other rooms. And there was a lot to write about then, because when you are gay and you're bipolar and you have kids young, you have a kid when you're in high school, and you have succession kids and abuse and neglect in your past, I end up ultimately, after my mother died, writing this memoir because I knew that I wouldn't be able to write it when she was alive, because she put so much pressure on me that I couldn't have done it before then. She'd call me every week and read me Bible verses about how I was going to hell, and just very negative person. And so when she died, I wrote the memoir, and I wrote it in about a year. And then I had edits for about a year. So, right. Writing the book wasn't bad, but the edits were crazy. So I really enjoyed writing the book. It was very, very intense in the beginning. And then at the end, I found true love. My kids grew up. They're respectable citizens. I now have 11 grandchildren, and I'm very happy with that. They've all turned out good. And I have the grandchildren, which I adore. I wish I had them before I had kids. So.
Yeah, it's so much easier. I have to take with grandchildren myself. The thing I love most is you can love them, throw all kinds of stuff on them, just give them all that love. And then when they start to get a little cranky, okay, go back to your parents. Bye-bye.
Exactly.
It's the best thing in the world.
Exactly. Would you like chocolate cake and Mountain Dew? That's fine.
You get to be bad cop and all the love in the world.
I know, it's great. And they adore you because all you do is give stuff to them and let them do whatever they want. You know, they just think we're great and their parents are mean. So,
and you're like, why did I do this sooner? This
I
is
couldn't have
so
done it much.
easier.
Yeah, I could have done it much sooner, but
Yeah, well,
Right?
I know. Yeah, but I mean,
but I was like the youngest grandma around, and people were like, "Oh, are these your children?" I'm like, no. But now they ask my partner Marcia if I'm her daughter because she's 10 years older than me, and she's gray, doesn't dye her hair or anything like that. So she's totally gray.
Mhm.
She's disabled, walks with canes or walks in a walker or something like that. So she is. We have a good relationship. We are soulmates. We've been together for 36 years now. And I think that I got lucky. I hit the jackpot. I think that God knew who I needed beside me to make this life work.
there you go.
Yeah. And
Sounds
she's
like it.
seen me through 6 visits to the psych ward. And she's seen me go to college. And I told her I would buy her a car when I graduated from college. So when I graduated from college the first time, I bought her a car. And I was a nurse, RN. And then I went to get my bachelor's degree. And then I graduated, bought her another car. And then I went to get my master's
She's like,
degree.
oh, I like this.
Yeah. But she had to watch the kids. So the trade-off was,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
yeah. And remember, she didn't like kids, but she ended up liking them. You know, took her a while. But
She's
I
like,
mean, the
okay, I guess you can stay.
I threw her out every year practically. She didn't leave, but I threw her out. I said, okay, you're leaving in August. It could be August 2nd, but I always said August 1st, you're leaving. I always gave her like a weird amount of time or something like that. But she decided not to leave. I'm like, okay, thanks so much. And you know, when you have a low self-esteem like that, you think everybody's going to leave you. And when you get abused, you think everybody's going to hit you or be mean to you or something like that. And she wasn't, and I didn't understand why. I was able to find true love with her more after my mom died, because my mom felt, my mom would come up to me and go, I think you're in love with her. And I'd be like, okay. She'd go, because I can tell by the way you look at her, and I can't even think what God thinks about that. And I'm like, well, God's got to deal with it. So, you know, God made me, and that's the way I am.
I had a conversation, and I'm cool. I'm
Yeah,
great.
exactly. So, but
when people confront queer people with that whole "you're going to hell," my first comeback is always look them in the face and go, "Well, I guess you'll be driving the bus." Because I'm sorry, judgment much? Wait
exactly.
a minute,
It was so funny when my youngest son went to 8th grade, because my kids took a lot of hazing for this, even though nobody knew for sure, but they took a lot of hazing for this. So the best response I got was when one of the kids said to my son, who was in 8th grade, "Is your mom gay? I'm sure your mom's gay. Is your mom gay?" And he just brought back and says, "Why? Did your mom want to date her?"
Well said.
Bravo.
Yeah, not bad for an 8th grader.
That's a
I
good
thought
one.
that was pretty good.
So
Excellent.
circling back to your book, Mother, Can You Hear Me Now? Do you write it as a conversation to her?
No, I wrote it as a conversation for me. I wrote it first person.
Okay.
I wrote it what happened to me in my young childhood, and what happened to me as an older adult, and then what happened to me after I fell in love with the right person. So it has all those components in it. And it even talks about my children, about funny things they did and things like that. Because if you just read the first part of the book, you wouldn't read anymore. It's so intense and violent, what happened to me.
It sounds like you didn't pull any punches either.
No, I didn't. And my friends all said the book was so intense that they had to read it and put it down, and read it and put it down. But every one of them wrote me a good supportive message afterwards. And I was so surprised that most of them had been abused. People I didn't even know, people that were, one guy called me and said, I never talked about this with anybody, but you were so frank in your book that I thought I could talk to you and you were a safe person. And a lot of people have talked to me since then. And if I can help one person it was worth it.
Absolutely.
It was worth it.
Absolutely.
If I keep one kid from committing suicide because they talk to me, or if I keep, you know, telling other adults that, you know, it's okay, you'll be fine, it'll
This
work.
is why mental illness is a big thing in this country, because of the suppression of not being able, you know, it's one of the reasons why men are more susceptible to suicide in their latter years, because they've been suppressing. We've been told to suppress, suck it up,
Right.
be a man, you know, that kind of thing. And so it has to go somewhere.
Right.
And typically that's how it happens. And, you know, but I think to your point about the book, when people found you as a safe space, you know,
Right.
that speaks to the suppression within society that
Right.
says it's, you know, not okay to have these feelings, even though they were put on you not by choice. They were things that were put on you, you know.
Yes.
It really is a much bigger subject, but, you know, I'm glad you addressed
Yeah.
it in a way that people felt that they could approach you, you know.
Oh, well, thank you. I think that men tend to get more suicidal and turn the anger outward sometimes, and women always turn it inside and are depressed. We don't generally fight back too much. Now it's getting to be different. Now men are seeking a little bit more mental health, and women are seeking more mental health. And I think mental health is broken.
I think this is one of the reasons why we have the gun culture that we have. I
Right.
think men, you know, want to have control of something, and since
Right.
it's tactile for men, that's where they, you know, lean into. And I think if they could address some of the things that they don't talk about, I don't know
Right.
that necessarily they'd be so fast to reach for a gun. I think
Mhm.
a lot of people who own guns, there are a lot of stuff going, and I'm not saying you can't have them, so let me just be clear to everybody, but I think responsible gun ownership, if you do have one, and there should be, you know, a kind of a reason to have one.
Right.
Personally, I'm like, yeah, driving to and from work is not a reason to have one, you know. I mean, you know, but it does speak to, I think, the level of mental illness that we have in this country, because we are not allowed to. Society says, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that." You know, and I think it just is this pressure cooker. You know, and I think that's why some people go to guns and shooting ranges and stuff, because they have to let something out. You know.
Right. I totally agree with you. I totally agree that they have to get it out of their system. And it's a shame that that's the way they decide to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
my daughter has like 5 guns, and she's been in the psych ward before. And I thought that's kind of illegal, I think, to have guns if you've been in the psych ward. And so she has like 5 guns, and she says, well, I'll go out and shoot somebody if they come near my house. I'm like, come near your house? I'm like, they'd have to come in my house.
Right.
They should be in your house, not,
Right.
you know, outside your house. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm always afraid when I go over, I'll get shot.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they'll
You
think I'm
know.
an intruder or something. So
You
I always
better all
call.
you better buy a bullhorn, girl, and go, "Hey, I'm here, coming in."
I usually sit in the car. They have that ring thing that you,
Mhm.
I don't know how that
Oh
works.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, they have that. And
Okay.
I'm still afraid of getting shot. So
Yeah,
I always call.
that's not an unrealistic fear. Just letting you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is pretty realistic. And I think children today go to school. And I think having this COVID online school for them, I think doesn't work for some people.
Mhm.
They need the teacher in the room with them, or someone to help them. And I'm afraid that so many parents are either neglectful, abusive, or something like that. And now those kids have no out.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I think that makes it harder.
Right. Well, and they're also not surrounded by their peers learning social skills.
Right. Exactly.
Although in
Exactly.
this day and age, this equates social skills.
Unfortunately, yes.
So, the opening of your book, the early chapters are really hard. How do you transition to the better life?
Well, I actually wrote a chapter on each area and each thing.
Okay.
And when I got to the point that I found her, and I didn't know what gay was, but I transitioned to her, and life started getting better. And so when I wrote it, life started getting better then. And she's such a wonderful person, and she's helped me every bit of the way. She's been supportive in whatever I do. She's never hit me. She's never abused me. She's never been neglectful to my needs or anything like that. So I had her, and that's what helped the intensity of the book in the beginning, because it ended up with me having 4 great kids, grandkids, her, and it talks about my relationship with her. Like I was just dumb and stupid little kid when she met me. And now I've become, a college educated person and able to do a lot of different things. I'm retired now and I love it. And she's retired and she loves it. That's what everybody should do. When I ask my son what he wants to do with his life, he goes, I want to be retired.
There you go. There you go. Set that goal, boy. Set that goal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just love it because, I'm medically retired, but it's kind of funny because I love that I can say the line from Downton Abbey that Cousin Violet does. What does a weekend? I feel like I'm in their crust now. A person of leisure.
That's good. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like folks to know about the memoir?
Just that they should buy the book. They should buy the book because it only helps people who have gone through abuse and neglect. It helps people who have had childhoods that didn't turn out quite the way they expected. It helps young mothers get through school and know that it can be done and that you could actually go to college. And it helps gay people who are kids and who are older people. And I think ultimately, I write about the psych ward and all the different people with all the different diseases and things like that. Obviously, no real names or anything. But I also try and teach in the book as well of, like, if you're having these feelings, you might be a bipolar person. And maybe people can identify with that. And I think that's the major reason I wrote it, because I didn't want anybody to go through the hell I did getting there.
Right.
And it's nice that it creates a safe space for people to approach you and say, hey, I needed this more than kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that is a huge bonus to the book.
Well, can I give my Gmail address?
Yeah, if you want people to reach out to you, absolutely.
Okay. It's Emory, EMORY, Easton, EASTON, one word, 86 @gmail.com. That way, if somebody is having problems, I can help. I've already helped a couple homeless people get into residential living and things like that. And so in that way, it's been well worth it. I mean, it took a long time to write it, not a year. I mean, a year's not a long time, but I had it in my brain for a long time.
Right.
And the feelings came screaming out of me. It's like I wrote and I couldn't stop. I kept writing. And it was like writing to get rid of that vortex of despair I had and depression that I had. And now I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it had to be incredibly cathartic.
Yeah, it was very cathartic. It was very good. And I would like for everybody to take the chance to write a book, because I think everybody has one.
So, are you going to write a second memoir called
The
Grandma Notes?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I may, but I am already writing a second book, and but the Grandma Notes sounds like a good book.
Right.
And a lot of fun.
The positive benefits of grandchildren.
And the book will be full of, I love them, I adore them, they're great, they're wonderful. They can do no wrong.
Now go back to mommy and daddy.
You've had Mountain Dew, you've had cheesecake, you've had chocolate cake, you've had candy, you've had candy apple. Time to go home. Fill them with sugar and
they can deal with the sugar coma.
Hey, that's also a common gunkle trick here. Not that I've ever done that or anything with my nieces and nephews.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You should try it.
Do get it.
Oh, yeah. The zoo sells the best cotton candy around. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, the zoo does sell good cotton candy.
All right. Well, if you're ready for some get to know you, the author question, I'm gonna let Baz take that away.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, but before you do you want to remind people about our Redbubble store and such?
Absolutely, I do. Folks, if you like what you're hearing, listening, reading, learning about, please follow us, like, and subscribe so that we can continue to share new authors and new experiences with you. If you want to support the channel, hit our Redbubble or our Patreon. You can either buy merchandise, fun drag queen sayings, classical authors with witty sayings, or just support us directly on Patreon and help us keep the lights on. So are you telling people what the next book's about yet, or is it too early?
I'm not really sharing that yet.
That's fair.
I've got all the characters and what they do, but it's mainly about secrets that every person has. You know, one person maybe is gay, one person maybe is a hoarder, one person's maybe a serial killer.
Story.
Yeah.
Did you say serial killer?
Serial killer.
Yeah.
One's a serial killer.
Well, yeah, you never know, you know.
So I basically
we think we know people, but
yeah. I basically went through all that, and then there are things will be revealed in the end that you didn't get in the beginning. And you go, oh, that makes sense now.
You're right. Yeah, that's why I write about perceptions, which is along the same line, because what people perceive and what really is the reality, they can be very different things, and what you think is important may not be what I think is important in the same situation. You know.
Hey, could you send me an email with those book titles and things that you have?
Oh, sure.
That'd be terrific.
Yeah.
I read a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I'll also send you my native sci-fi one that I just released. I think you might.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So where's the best place for people to follow you?
Well, I don't have a website because I attempted to do it several times, and then it was cost prohibitive for me to, have WordPress or Wix or someplace like that do it. So basically, it's just my Gmail right now that people can reach me at. And Woodhull Press is the publisher. And I'm sure that if you needed to, reach me through there, they could do that. But that's just a way to look up on the internet.
Well, make sure you put up your email so people see it.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yep.
And you can find my book on Amazon and Goodreads and all kinds of places.
But buy it from the publisher if you can, because
exactly.
Let's cut out the Zon where we can.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's buy from the publisher so then I can get and give me good reviews.
Yes. Absolutely.
That'd be terrific.
All right. Any final words of wisdom for people?
Nope. I think I've said it all.
Nice.
Check, please.
All right, folks. Written on the Edges, produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. If you enjoy learning about new artists, please like and subscribe to get alerts for new episodes. And we'd like to extend a huge thank you to Emory Easton for being with us today. Emory, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Now, pick up Mother, Can You Hear Me Now? I know the opening is hard to read, but I promise you it comes to a very, very happy place. Have a very happy holidays, everyone, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in the new year. Bye-bye.
You too.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.